Scotsky looking for that damage, finds him on the Diablo. Diablo forced to back out as their health drops low. The Immortal now is at 25%.
Back down Yo on the Grey Man, gonna be the first to fall. But is it ETC? No, that's Malthael up there. A triple.
Leyline used in the back, catching 3 people on top. That followed up by the APOC and the lurking on. Catching 2, but this time on is gonna be the first.
Wow, did you see that mosh pit? 4-man mosh pit while on a conveyor belt. That was like a regular sushi.
There's the lead, catches him in the mud pit. Time trap does pop. Mosh pit goes out. Ruby's still in trouble. Pops to stay a while and listen, but it's not going to matter.
Here comes the Boros on the backside, but he's doing it under. And then stunned. Oh my goodness. The combo.
Getting struck down, ETC getting killed. He becomes dog food for the Grey Man.
I didn't think they had a chance. I thought it was all over. We said all or nothing, and they got absolutely everything.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monday Night Heroes of the Storm Nexus Gaming Series, Division D West, Puns Upon a Time versus VibeCheque. These two teams pretty close in the standings, so we'll post that up here real quick while teams get the lobby sorted out. You can see Puns Upon a Time sitting in 5th place with a single domination so far this season. VibeCheque sitting a few places behind them with one more match played. They have a 1-2 loss and a 2-1 win. So teams kind of in the middle of the standings right now. Puns Upon a Time with a win could really climb to the top of the table. And VibeCheque trying to establish that winning record. Welcome to those of you joining from Sergeant Scoops' stream, and I appreciate the raid as well. Both teams are in lobby, so we should be here going momentarily. I believe I have all of the snafus sorted out from last cast, so let's Well, I apparently didn't fix all of the issues. Thank you for letting me know, Majesty, the sound wasn't coming through on this set. So we'll recap when I was talking to myself. Puns Upon a Time banning out Garden of Terror and Tomb of the Spider Queen. VibeCheque banning out Dragonshire and Infernal Shrines. And Puns Upon a Time taking us to Battlefield of Eternity for game number 1. Both teams have gone into draft. So here we are. Draft for game number 1. First pick over to VibeCheque. They ban out the Rhaegar. VibeCheque actually did win the coin toss, so they did select first pick here for game number 1. Puns Upon a Time gonna ban out the Sonya. So pretty traditional heroes banned out in the early going. So far, I say so far, none of the kind of banned heroes that I'm used to, but there's one of them, Chromie, and my former teammate, Pet Wolverine, actually plays a really solid Chromie, so that's not a surprise to see the Chromie banned out there. Let's see who Puns Upon a Time rounds out their second ban with. And it is going to be a Nubarak. Interesting, I haven't seen a Nubarak first banned in a hot minute. I think VibeCheque did run the Anubarak last week. They had a pretty good CC chain comp in their match last week, so I assume that to be a targeted ban. Gigglesmack gonna first pick his patented Hanzo on Battlefield of Eternity. That is an excellent selection. Good to know. Rona Mazzino, Blue Space Hat, and a Noob God. So definitely a targeted ban then. Puns Upon a Time running the timer all the way down to the end for their first two selections, and we're going to see them pick up both of their damage dealers in the form of Raynor and Tassadar. That is a very high damage output backline. Also not a particularly mobile backline. Really making that Anubarak ban make all the more sense. Take away some of those dive options if you like the kind of immobile backline in the form of Anubarak and Sonya. However, VibeCheque, they are going to stick with that kind of pick out a target and blow them up, as we're going to see a Garrosh and a Tyrande selected. So going to try to isolate out that toss target, get a stun and a hunter's mark on them, and blow it up. Puns Upon a Time, going to ban out the Greymane, take one more of the blow-up targets off the table. That does still leave a Li-Ming or a Jaina if they want to add to their blow-up comp with a Mage. And a Stukov can be really difficult for a Garrosh to play into, wanting no part of that. VibeCheque, wasting no time, and taking Stukov off the board. Yeah, he ran a Kerrigan last week. I watched some of VibeCheque's game last week. They did run a Kerrigan, if I recall, and ran it very well. And it's going to be Leoric on the Anduin. I'm sorry, Lulu on the Anduin, Juggerbob on the Leoric, holding their tank till the end. My guess would be there's a lot of strong tanks up. May and Johanna stand out. So figuring they're bound to get somebody they want. Also, Garrosh already selected for VibeCheque, so they are not likely to select one of the tanks that Puns Upon a Time has their eyes on, and it is going to be an Imperious and a Kerrigan. Tip of the hat to Rorona Mazzino. Apologies if I'm butchering your name, but picking out the Kerrigan. So that is a whole lot of death ball and a lot of a burly front line for VibeCheque. Gigglesmack is going to have all the space in the world to operate and put out the damage. Jackstaman on the Tyrande should be pretty safe, operating behind a Garrosh and an Imperious and a Kerrigan. And as expected, Puns Upon a Time will go ahead and last pick the Mei. She does have a lot of zoning abilities combined with a Leo. That's a lot of zoning on the front line. They both also have their own unstoppables. You have Avalanche for a disengage, or Ice Wall if you want to go another direction. So all kinds of things for both of these comps to do. We will see how it rolls. Game number 1 coming up in just a moment. All right, we are here. Game number 1 between Puns Upon a Time and VibeCheque here in NGS Season 11 Division D West. In the blue trunks, Puns Upon a Time featuring Lulu on Anduin. Muffin Man will be playing Raynor. Pet Wolverine on Tassadar. Barber on May. And up all by his lonesome Juggerbomb on the Leoric. The red team, VibeCheque, will feature Megan Milk on Imperious, Jackstaman on Tyrande, Blue Space Hat on the Garrosh, Gigglesmack on the Hanzo, and a little bit of a surprise orientation. Actually, Kerrigan, played by Red-Faced Beast, will be in the top lane, and that is a lot of stuns and CC in this bottom lane. They really want to grab somebody, anybody, and just blow up that target. So a little skirmish, Imperius holding off on the flank. There goes, they do get the Tassadar. The Lunar Flare is just a hair late, and a great pull by Lulu, but that is a 60-second cooldown on the pull. Red taking a lot of damage there in return. Tyrande, of course, not a great top-off healer, so that damage is going to stick here for a few seconds. Oh, so close to first blood on Tassadar. Lulu keeping him alive, and Huns actually winning the trade on the health bars here for a minute. The spear from Megan Milk does miss. Blue Space Hat kind of hovering around in the vents there, but ultimately will go back and help clear with that chair that he's smacking the minions with. I want to go check on the solo laner. Solo lanes get so little love in a cast, but I know as soon as I go to that top lane, I'm going to miss a kill here. So we're going to hang tight until one more crack at it goes, and then we'll check in on the top lane. Blue Space Hat fishing around, looking for his stuns, unable to land anything. Tassadar and Raynor putting him back with poke. Barber sitting in the bush, waiting to provide support for her team. And really much to do about nothing here. Megan Milk was going to eat some damage from the Tassadar and the Raynor. Barber eats the Owl. But the zoning and the constant poke damage is really making Blue Space Hat play a little bit on the passive side. My guess, Jet Fuel, is they want more blow-up potential in the bottom lane. And checking up here, Kerrigan is actually doing just fine into the Leoric. Maybe the increased mobility will make it harder for Leoric to land his W, because Kerrigan was obviously winning that top lane. So both sides have gone onto their respective bruiser camps. First objective will be spawning momentarily. Camps picked up at nearly the same time. VibeCheque actually holding theirs for closer to the time of the objective. And on the flip side, Puns, they're going to double up on the bottom lane. So both sides actually looking for extra push power during the objective. However, Vision Arrow will scout this out. May is not in a position to contest. Does get the Blizzard and the shotgun. Great play by Muffin Man to drive back Garrosh and secure that kill. The shotgun out of Muffin Man was absolutely money, combined with the Blizzard from over the wall. Great play by Puns there. They're going to go immediately onto the burn. Kerrigan is hovering around. However, VibeCheque is not on the Immortal quite yet. They are going to be here late, and halftime in the early going looks like it will definitely go over 2 Puns upon a time. Both sides did secure the wave clear of the opposition mercenaries. An early burn over to Puns upon a time. Now here comes VibeCheque. They are looking for the blow up. They get the Tassadar. There's the Lunar Flare. There is everything else, and that is exactly what VibeCheque built for. Wolverine unfortunately caught out a little bit, ate the toss, and he went down very, very quickly. So now Barber going to try to do some poke damage. The Auric has arrived as well. Still a big advantage here in the burn for Puns upon a time. Tassadar is on the way. Garrosh taking a lot of poke damage. May eating the Impale and then forcing her way back. This red Immortal, though, is still very low, and here comes Puns upon a time, trying to force back VibeCheque. Hanzo will come back to join Muffin Man, very low, eating a lot of damage. The pull, unable to get Raynor to safety, but this Immortal is so low. Barber doing everything he can to poke it down. Garrosh actually very low as well. He does use his W to get some health, but it is going to be Puns upon a time, despite 2 unanswered kills, securing the Immortal. Barber forced to use that trait and use a self-blizzard to get himself out of trouble. Kill pressure big time coming out from VibeCheque, and despite that, Puns upon a time was able to secure the first Immortal largely on the back of their early start. They got on the Immortal much, much quicker than VibeCheque. So Once Upon a Time, got to be very careful until that sidewall is down. You don't want to eat the Garrosh throw. Now, one of the weaknesses of this VibeCheque comp is they have a very hard time defending on this Immortal. Really only Gigglesmack is the one that can do damage to the Immortal very well. You can see it's still so healthy. And I think Puns might get a full fort out of the first Immortal, which doesn't happen too much. But the lack of ranged damage coming out from VibeCheque will make it more difficult for them to clear out these Immortals when Puns Upon a Time does secure them. And a hard, full team rotation coming out from Puns Upon a Time, trying to get some more structure damage. Leoric will return to the top lane. Barber stepping up, going to put more damage on this fort. And VibeCheque has not responded yet. They're very late. They're still on the top camp. And these structures in the bottom lane are falling very, very quickly. VibeCheque still hasn't responded. Puns Upon a Time knows where they're at. The Leoric saw them on the top camp. And until somebody responds to this, I think Puns Upon a Time is just going to keep going. Garrosh is here. The wall goes out to zone him away, but that is a full front wall and some token fort damage as well. So Leoric and Imperius, now the more traditional solo lane matchup in the top. Kerrigan has joined her teammate in the bottom. About a 30% level lead. Kerrigan going for a big flank, goes on to Lulu. Garrosh uses Unstoppable. They throw the Tassadar again, and poor Tassadar goes down. A nice flank from Kerrigan to kind of break up the cohesion. Barber really focusing on staying forward to zoning out that Garrosh, and it exposed that flank to the Kerrigan. Garrosh proccing the Unstoppable to get onto that Tassadar, and that is now 3 unanswered kills by VibeCheque. Both sides will get level 10s here at very close to the same time. They are here for Puns Upon a Time. It is going to be Entomb, Ice Wall, Black Hole for the disengage. I really like that. Rainers, Raiders, and Light Bomb for Anduin. Their opposition on VibeCheque is going to go Starfall, the Stun Arrow, which I forget the name of, Dragon's Arrow, thank you. I believe that is Angelic Armaments, and it is Ultralisk and Warlord's Challenge for Garrosh. Both sides going on the burn, and it looks like that will favor... Actually, it's very close. I don't know that any of the one side has the advantage here. Kerrigan kind of fished around, and that gave Puns Upon a Time halftime again. And they being Puns Upon a Time, have the Mercs pushing in the bottom lane, whereas VibeCheque doesn't. So really a bad spawn here for VibeCheque, and they are going to go in. There's the arrow, catches 3, onto an Imperious stun, also the Immortal. Now that is a 4-man ice wall, but it does not matter. The stun onto the Immortal, onto the Impale, onto the Garrosh toss, and that is 3 unanswered kills set up by VibeCheque. Juggerbob doing what he can to burn the Immortal. Kerrigan has responded to the mercenary push in the bottom lane, but this is going to be first Immortal with very little shields, though, going over to VibeCheque. Now, Puns Upon a Time, unlike VibeCheque, have many, many tools. Barber pretty far out, but many tools to attempt to burn down this Immortal. With Tassadar and Raynor, good siege damage, plus the zoning of May. But Wolverine has really been picked on. They've been targeting the Tassadar due to his lack of mobility. And they have been able to secure those. Now, a big flanking Juggerbob. Kerrigan is not here, so Leoric doing a nice job of zoning away VibeCheque. They will step back up, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of the difference in these comps. Second Immortal gets only a wall. As Puns Upon a Time now going hard. Ice Wall does not catch anybody. They were targeting at Tyrande. They're going to step forward, and they're going to take out this fort anyway. Great awareness by Puns Upon a Time. Kerrigan showing in the top lane, and despite 6-0 in the kills department, a big structure advantage for VibeCheque. Now here comes the arrow, it catches 2. There is the Lunar Flare, Light Bomb on top of Tassadar there, but it doesn't matter. That is 2 more, soon to be 3 more kills by VibeCheque, and this Death Ball comp paying dividends in the kills department. Now they're finally going to get some structure damage as well. Yeah, it seems like Puns Upon a Time really doesn't have an answer for when VibeCheque presses all their buttons and runs forward. Maybe time to consider trying to save Ice Wall and Black Hole for those disengages rather than offensive tools. Consider using them more as defensive tools. Puns should be talking about some adjustments to make in comms right now, but Leoric doing a nice job pressuring the top lane. With Leoric doing a great job to stay very close in experience despite a 9-kill difference. That is a big difference only 11 minutes into this game. Kerrigan has cleared the top. The rest of VibeCheque is securing the bruisers. And now Puns trying to burn, and here comes VibeCheque. No, VibeCheque also burning. So for the third straight time, VibeCheque going to race in the early going, but halftime, once again, going to go over to Puns Upon a Time. And once again, VibeCheque is going to look to try to fight this. And again, it is on the offensive side. If I am Puns, I am very leery to fight under this Immortal. Because of that arrow setup that happened last time, they really, really ate a ton of damage. Maybe go 5 clear top lane and come back. That's my call if I'm Puns Upon a Time. Just go up there as a 5 deck, burn that mercenary camp down, and come back. Tassadar putting some damage in. Raynor, they're trying to poke without hard engaging. That's not a bad call, but they need to be super, super careful. One arrow from... There it is. There's the arrow. It does land 2, and there's the self-proc unstoppable toss flip. Down goes Raynor. The Black Hole is a little bit late. They do catch Kerrigan, though, in the Ice Wall and the Entomb, and a counter kill onto the Garrosh. So nice play there by Puns Upon a Time. Leoric is able to get away, as is May, but barely. So that is, what, the 3rd time that they have used that arrow to set up Garrosh and gotten kills out of it. So Puns really needs to be watching for that arrow from downtown. The Immortal race is very close. Hanzo is burning for VibeCheque. The poke is trying to come out from Puns. They pressure Lulu out. Now they're stepping forward. It's going to be close. It is going to be close. But once again, VibeCheque, after losing halftime, will secure another Immortal, 11-1 in kills. I'm not sure what the answer is for Puns in these team fights, because the CC train is absolutely a lot. And they're using that arrow to set it up, too. It's an arrow from far away, kind of coming out of the fog of war. Giggleshmack has been money with those arrows, hitting 2 or 3 targets each time. And if they get the backline with those arrows, Garrosh is just walking in and tossing them. There's the Imperious Spell. There's the arrow again. It does catch Tyrande, and that's exactly... Or I'm sorry, that's actually May. That's the target they want to get hit, though. The Ice Wall does cut out. The Blizzard on top of it will stun Imperious. However, Wolverine caught by a flanking Kerrigan and Ultralisk. Red-faced Beast going deep. Barber attempting to peel. However, the Impale and the Lunar Flare sends him back. VibeCheque on the warpath right now. With an absolutely aggro, brutal taunt coming out here from VibeCheque. So 13 kills to 1. I'm a little surprised they didn't go on to Puns Upon a Time's Bruiser there with the May down, but they're going to play a little more secure, conservative, I should say. Secure this top camp. They will owl the bottom one, and I'm sure they're going to run right down there, and they are. Puns Upon a Time securing their Bruisers, want to make sure that VibeCheque just doesn't go ahead and steal them from them, and now they're going to push the top lane out a little bit. Got a little bit of a lull before the next objective. Now, one thing we should keep an eye on with Puns Upon a Time, if this game gets to 20, the Silence Entomb is so very strong. If they get that onto a couple of targets before VibeCheque can press their buttons, that's a play that Puns can make to come back in this game. But 20 is 3 levels off.
Shall return before long, heroes.
Kerrigan sitting on that flank once again. VibeCheque going to back up. They will secure their bruisers and time it out with the objective. You know, it might be time for Puns to try to fight under their own Immortal, use their own Immortal stuns to provide some peels for their team. However, the Mercenary Camp will push in the top lane. It will push in the top lane with catapults. May and Leoric kind of hovering out of vision here in flanking position. The rest of Puns Upon a Time trying to stay very, very back. Now, Leo has shown, look, as soon as Leoric shown, VibeCheque runs in. There's a double arrow again. A great pull by Lulu this time will save Tassadar, but it will not save Raynor, and Tassadar caught out again. As soon, the instant Leoric showed in the top lane, VibeCheque like ran at Puns Upon a Time, and another big time arrow just setting up these kills. I don't think Gigglesmack on Tanzo has missed an arrow this game. They've all been absolutely on the money. And this is a problem for Puns Upon a Time. They're going to lose the race to 20. This is a full strength Immortal, almost 100% shields. Over to VibeCheque. It will be pushing down the bottom lane. Now, Puns Upon a Time, they will have their full squad up, all 5 members in time to defend this. They do have their front wall intact. But another couple of kills here, and this could absolutely be game. And it's going to be very unlikely that this keep is going to be standing at the end of this Immortal push. So if you're Puns Upon a Time, you got to be telling your team, do the best we can on keep here, but we defend it core and we try to get to 20. That's our win condition. Defend it core, try to get to 20. Let's try to get the Entomb out, the Silence Entomb out. Doing a pretty nice job of zoning away VibeCheque, but 20s are on board for VibeCheque. Kerrigan holding that flank position. The damage being zoned way back, although Muffin Man is a little forward there, and now they've kind of realized that. Imperius kind of looked in that direction. There's the arrow, only catches the Leo, and that's actually what you wanted. That's a really nice play. Leoric will still die, but that is much better than Tassadar and Raynor going down. Barber a little far forward, forced to use the shield, the tosses, they're waiting for him, the taunts, and ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the beginning of the end for Puns Upon a Time. Core going down 50%, 30%. Game number 1 over to VibeCheque. That death ball comp was brutal, and Puns Upon a Time, I don't know if they had the tools to deal with it. It was just pick someone, anyone out. It really didn't matter who it was. The Dragon Arrows were just setting that up, and the rest of the team was teeing off on that. 17 kills to 2 in favor of VibeCheque. Cam in a different screen, Aura, but you want to keep watching, Aura, and you'll see why. Let's see if I set this up properly. I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but if I did what I wanted to do, play of the game from game number 1. Upon a Time, have the Mercs pushing in the bottom lane, whereas VibeCheque doesn't. So really a bad spawn here for VibeCheque, and they are going to go in. There's the arrow, catches 3 onto an Imperius stun, also the Immortal. Now that is a 4-man ice wall, but it does not matter. The stun onto the Immortal, onto the Impale. So there we go. I did set that up properly. I hope that had sound. It looked like it had sound on my end. That was the first time that VibeCheque ran the Dragon Arrow into Kill Everybody combo that they ran oh so well in that game 1. So let's see what adjustment Puns will try to make. Are they going to take first pick? Are they going to take map pick? It looks like we're going to Braxis holdout. Yeah, Aura, what is this I'm wearing? It's so nice! So it looks like we're going to Braxis holdout for game number 2. Let's see who picked the map. It's showing Puns Upon a Time picked the map. So that means, I'm sorry, Puns has first pick. So that means they chose first pick after their defeat, and VibeCheque decided to go to Braxis holdout. It came out super good, Aura. Not only is it comfortable, it looks awesome as well. It's really, really clean. Great design, quality was good. So many thanks there. If you like NGS and you want to support us in what we do have a Patreon. So check it out if you're interested. All kinds of good stuff, swag, and more. So if you're interested, here's the Patreon. I agree. Braxis does seem tailor-made for Vibe's Death Ball comp. Whoops, I'm in the wrong game. Ah. I clicked on the wrong Braxis holdout. Sorry, Dax and friends. But I did jump in the wrong Braxis holdout, but now I'm in the right one. So if you're Puns, what's the adjustment that you make? Is there a certain band that you think won't set that up? I mean, Hanzo stands out at the arrows that were being made. I do think it would be a little bit more difficult on Braxis to land those arrows so reliably. Kind of Battlefield of Eternity, the way the terrain was set up, it really made the places for Puns Upon a Time to try to burn the Immortal from, because they would set up around the Immortal and poke at it from a distance, and they kept kind of doing it from the same area. So I think it kind of made those arrows a little bit easier to land so well, and I don't think you're going to have that same terrain dynamic in Braxis holdout. Having said that, Hanzo was played really, really well. I mean, all of the heroes on VibeCheque were played well. So I'm curious to see what adjustments Puns will make. And I think if you're VibeCheque, if you did your homework and those bans from game 1 were the result of your scouting, I think you kind of stick with what you did. And you see how that rolls. All right. So game number 2 on Braxis holdout. We have all of the players from both teams are here in lobby. We are just waiting for people to press their R buttons. I'm so excited that that instant replay thing worked up. I've been wrestling with that thing for a few days now, so I'm pretty stoked that that seemed to work well. And that was kind of the first time we got to see in that game 1 the vision that VibeCheque had for that comp. And it really, that particular team fight that we saw in the play of the game really set up, set the rest of that game into motion. So, still waiting for teams to hit the R button. Don't quite see them yet. Okay, now we're saying 1 second. So if you're the side of Puns Upon a Time, chat, what's the adjustment? Who do you ban? What are you saying in chat to your team after that game 1? I think in a kind of a way, those are a little bit of the easy games to set aside. It wasn't like, man, if we would have just done this one thing differently, maybe that game goes differently. You're kind of like, it feels like they outdrafted us. They got something they really liked, and we didn't have an answer for it, so let's adjust. I think that kind of game is an easier one to shrug off. Yeah, spacing was good. The other issue, though, was Kerrigan came in on the flank a couple of times. So I think it actually you put Leo on the flank and May out in front. And that front-to-back style, 8-bit, you're right, would have favored Puns Upon a Time a lot more. But a couple of times, Kerrigan got like a naked flank onto the back line, and you can't let that happen either. But we are here in draft. Praxis holdout. And I don't like how large that logo is, so we're going to scale that down a bit. Thanks, by the way, to Ace, if he's watching, for his amazing caster tools. They're awesome and wonderful. First pick, first ban. For Puns Upon a Time, they opted to go with first pick, first ban after their game 1 loss. And they're going to ban Kerrigan. That's a good ban. Make red-faced beast play something different. And I think VibeCheque is going to start seeing some of the pieces of that comp that they just ran so well. I think they're going to start seeing those pieces get banned out as the season goes on. Chromie, not going to let Wolverine get onto Chromie here on Braxis holdout. Chromie does a great job with slowing sands and the time traps of controlling the space around those channel points on both on Braxis and Dragonshire. She's so good at that. Deckard being kept away from VibeCheque. Second ban will be on the Stukov. Also another hero that one, Lulu plays very well, but also two, the lurking arm on the point is very dynamic. And VibeCheque kind of felt like they had a certain style. That game 1, that kind of roll in forward and murder somebody style. And you could see how a Stukov into that game 1 with a well-placed lurking arm would have really broken up what VibeCheque wanted to do. First pick, Sonya, the solo laner, very solid generalist solo laner picked up by Puns Upon a Time. Could you imagine that game 1 if Puns Upon a Time had a lurking arm to just put under that death ball every time they ran forward? That would have been really disruptive to what they were doing. So I can see exactly why VibeCheque wants to get rid of the Stukov. It's going to be Orphea and Anduin coming out for VibeCheque. So definitely a different feel to what they were doing in game 1 already. Tychus and a Muradin coming out for Puns Upon a Time. Tychus puts out a metric ton of damage. He's in a really good place right now. Muradin I'm not seeing quite as much of, but he's always just been kind of solid as a tank, difficult to kill, can set up other kills. A little bit limited in the peels department. Morales banned out by VibeCheque. So Puns Upon a Time really thinking about this one. They're going to get rid of the Rexar. Maybe the best traditional solo laner on the point control maps, like Braxis and Dragonshire. So that's a really good ban. Make them play a not quite as good matchup into the Sonya. And it's going to be Raynor and ETC. So a more traditional lineup thus far out of VibeCheque. Surprisingly, no May. That's something we haven't seen a lot of this season. May doesn't get not played a lot. Also haven't seen Joe in either one of these games as well. and a Kael'Thas and a Brightwing. I really like the Brightwing in particular. Gives them a little bit of a global. She can pop up on the Sonya when the timing would be good, and then a Malthael to round this out. So no Death Ball come out for VibeCheque. A little bit more of a standard comp. Something to watch out for from my end. ETC, his base kit's so good, so many stuns, but he is a little bit on the soft side for a main tank. If you focus on kind of putting that damage into the ETC, you can make him back up, and it can be tough for him to hold a front line, in particular against something like a Tychus, which really melts those tanks. So let's really keep an eye on how well ETC is to holding the front line as we go into game number 2. All right, on to Brax's holdout for game number 2. Puns Upon a Time trying to force a game 3. We have Lulu on Brightwing, Pet Wolverine on Kael'Thas, Muffin Man on Tychus, Barber on Muradin, and Juggerbob flexing in the solo lane on Sonya. And for VibeCheque, trying to pick up the 3 points with their domination. Going to be Blue Space Hat on ETC, Jackstaman on Anduin, Giggleschmack on Orphea, Red Face Beast on Raynor, and Megan Milk on Malthael. So Brax is one of the maps that really accentuates. See, there's the damage on the ETC that I was talking about. He's already at half health. And he checked the bush and he's at half health. One of the maps that accentuates the solo lane, so we're going to try to check in there as much as we can. I think this is actually one of the harder maps to observe, honestly. Wave clear advantage, maybe slightly on the side of Puns as with the Kael'Thas there. But both sides kind of skirmishing. Barber sitting in the flank does land the Stormbolt, and then the Polymorph onto the Raynor. ETC does get him out of safely, but look at the ETC health bar. That's one of the things that I'm concerned about, is he actually escaped with 14 health. Barber goes hard onto Raynor and then runs away himself, escaping with less than 200 health. Meanwhile, top lane, the solo laners absolutely brawling. Looks like Malthael getting the early advantage onto the Sonya, which is not surprising. I think Malthael is going to win this matchup if both players play equally skilled. But they're really going hard, and both sides walk away very, very bruised. Meanwhile, back in the bottom lane, we showed up just in time to catch first kill, ETC. Puns Upon a Time wasting no time and getting on the point. Now I want to see Brightwing go top. Right onto the Sonya here. Get the poly onto Malthael while ETC isn't there. I think that's the time to do it. But she's staying bottom. And Puns is controlling it, and they get a counter kill onto the Kael'Thas without ETC being here. That's a big-time play. I wish I was a good caster and caught that, and that will force Puns Upon a Time back. And there is the Brightwing showing up on the Sonya, forcing Malthael to back up, allowing the counter channel by Puns Upon a Time. Kael'Thas will be showing back up to the bottom lane here shortly. Lulu on the Brightwing is taking the long walk down here. There is the gravity lapse and the burst, and I think Jackstaman is going to go down. No, yes, as does ETC, so a nice counter double kill. Barber landing the Stormbolt, and Wolverine landed the gravity lapse, followed by the rest of his damage, and now Puns Upon a Time channeling both objectives and pushing bottom for some siege damage. Tower going down. Malthael actually forced a Hearth back, leaving Juggerbob and Sonya as the solo owner of the top lane currently. Front wall down. The Tychus and the Kael'Thas absolutely shredding. They need to back up, though. Their front line is not here. Back up, Puns. There we go. You can see the pings on the fountain, but without the rest of their team, they were not going to get that fountain. And currently the beacon at 86%. Puns trying to stall, and they will not quite get 96% before Malthiel covered out. Juggerbob kind of low now, needs to back up. Meanwhile, the brawling will continue here in the bottom lane. There is the leap of faith, leaving ETC by himself on the point. He is forced to go back, though, as his health is low. A Giggle Schmack dancing and queuing and whipping all over the place. Let's check those. Let's see if we can check those damage numbers. Control 2, yeah, there it is. There goes ETC once again taking a ton of damage, as is Murd, and he's running away. He escapes with 220 health. In the meantime, Muffin Man trying to finish off Raynor, but unable to do so. Low health bars, but nobody dead. In the top lane, Sonya is here, and now what a perfect timing by Lulu to get on the Sonya, secure the point and the kill. Great play by Lulu there and by Juggerbob. In the bottom lane, Puns will be forced to regroup here a little bit. Barber moving on to the point. If he channels this, which I don't think there's any way he is not, there goes ETC eating a lot of damage once again. ETC cannot hold the front line in face of all that damage. And first objective, 100 to 40, will be in favor of Puns Upon a Time. I love me some ETC. He is my highest win rate and highest level character, most played character by a mile. And I definitely feel that he can be burned down right now if you punish him. So really watch that. We've seen that so far in this early game here. Now Malthiel has shown up to the bottom lane, leaving Sonya by herself in the top. Bottom fort going to go down. ETC is tanking the wave. You do not want to do that. VibeCheque forced to go back and now defending their keep wall already. And this wave is so healthy. I think Puns Upon a Time may get a full wall here. Flanking Malthiel will probably force back Puns Upon a Time, and it will. Sonya, meantime, look at the level discrepancy, because Sonya's been largely left by herself up top. Malthiel has been kind of trying to go back and forth a little bit to not miss any soak, but over a full level advantage for the side of Puns Upon a Time. They feel so good, they're going to say, this is my camp now. Invading the top lane, and then I imagine they're going to 5-push top. I know if it were me, that's what I would be doing. Murden taking a lot of damage, Dwarf crossing to safety. Malthiel trying to get in there and get on the low health Murden, but instead Puns Upon a Time just absolutely turns on that Malthiel and burns him down. 5 kills to 1 in favor of Puns Upon a Time in the early going. Kind of the inverse of game number 1. On the verge of level 10s with the mercenary camp and the numbers, they are pushing hard into this fort. ETC taking a ton of damage, forced to power slide to safety to avoid eating the gravity lapse. Gigglesmack really getting in there, but he is also taking a ton of damage. Murden putting into the fort. Puns has to back up, though. They're not going to quite finish this. Level 10s almost here for Puns Upon a Time. And I think if I'm Puns, I just step in on this fort with 10s. I take it and I rip this fort to the ground. It is going to be Wrath of the Berserker, Blink Heal, Avatar, Phoenix, and Commandeer Odin. There is the gravity lapse and the damage on the red face piece. Now you just put it in this fort. This fort is going to go down. They have a full, almost 2-level advantage. I mean, 1.5 level. Now if you're Puns, go to boss. They absolutely cannot contest. This should be a boss call. Or they're going to invade? They're thinking about invading instead. There's the ETC. Stormbolt misses. The side of VibeCheque is running. Murden in the bush anchoring, but without 10. VibeCheque really cannot do a whole lot about this. And they still have time, frankly, to get boss. No, instead they're going to get on these points. Sonya's going to go bottom. They have double camp pushing bottom. Nobody went bottom, though. I'm surprised Sonya, with the cover of double camps, didn't secure that bottom. Now she's going down there. So what is Puns Upon a Time going to do? Boss still sitting on the board. I'm kind of surprised they didn't take that. They could have taken all the camps and Boss. Their camp's still up as well. I imagine that's where they're going to run now. Yes? No? Not sure. All right, so they are getting their camp. Muradin anchoring the bush. Sonya playing safe. Nice job of Jugger Bob there. On the side of VibeCheque, we have Last Rites, Light Bomb, Mosh Pit, Hyperion, and Crushing Jaws. Now this is going to be a fight here. They do catch the Sonya. Wrath of the Berserker is popped. Phoenix goes down. There's Light Bomb on the ETC. There's the Crushing Jaws. Mosh Pit is going to not be popped before ETC is popped. A 1-for-1. Tychus and ETC both going down. Hyperion is zoning away the members of Puns Upon a Time. Sonya running for his life. Lulu gets onto Jugger Bob and saves him. And now the counter engage from Muradin going onto the Orphea. The stun does land on the Orphea. Polymorph onto Raynor. VibeCheque is running for their life. Avatar is popped. Raynor is caught out. No way, he does not go down. 2-0. And more progress on the Zerg wave for Puns Upon a Time. Looking super, super sharp here in this game, too. ETC, he's very alone in this top lane. He's very, very alone in this top lane. There's the stun. There's the second stun. There's the living bomb. There's the Tychus, the grenade. There's the minigun. Polymorph coming in a minute, and there's no way that Muradin does not die here. They will grab the camp too. Second Zerg wave for Puns Upon a Time. This one a 100-0 Zerg wave, pushing in the top lane with the mercenaries that will lower the armor of the structures, and they are on the verge of getting a talent tier lead, and they absolutely execute Raynor. And things just went from bad to worse for VibeCheque. As decisive as game one was for VibeCheque, has been the inverse here in game two. Completely decisive for Puns Upon a Time. They're absolutely running this game. Yeah, Arby's, you're correct. Pet Wolverine with the gravity lapses have been absolutely on point. Commandeer Odin is popped, as is Hyperion. They are going to secure this keep, but no more. Puns Upon a Time not getting greedy. They do have talent tier advantage. They are walking straight to where the boss is going to proc, and they are going to hearth back, and they are going to fill up on mana. Mana bars for Muradin and Kael'thas a little bit low. But VibeCheque is really on the back foot here. They are checking boss. I mean, with a 3-level lead, whew, this would be a tough fight for either side. You don't want to tank the boss and fight the other team. We'll see what they do. Sonya trying to bait out the side of VibeCheque. VibeCheque and Jaxtaman trying to... So both teams in the bushes trying to bait the other. But nobody's showing. Now VibeCheque is leaving. They kind of have to leave, honestly, because of this pressure in the bottom lane. And that's going to allow Puns Upon a Time. Look at how fast this boss just melted. So great patience there by Puns. They knew they had Katas in the top lane, the mercenaries in the bottom lane, and they could literally just wait. They didn't have to do anything. Now, however, there's the Mosh Pit, there's the Crushing Jaws, there's the Light Bomb, all the buttons catching Puns Upon a Time. Kael'thas is the first to fall. Jugger Bob going to go down as well, and he does, but a counter kill onto ETC. Muradin going at the Malthael. They are not able to get him quite yet. But a 2-for-1, and that is the first time VibeCheque has shown signs of life. But even when they won the team fight, they actually had to retreat because Puns Upon a Time was running right at them. They were just running at them. But that 2-for-1 kills when you're down 3 levels, that's how you close the level gap. That's actually a pretty big deal.
A power spike from the beacons.
That was a great combination of Mosh Pit into Crushing Jaws into Light Bomb. ETC paid for it, but at this point in the game, guarantee you VibeCheque will take a 2-for-1 trade in that scenario. VibeCheque now, they're going to be on their back foot this whole game. They're going to be chasing down Mercs and Katas, and the mercenary burn we've seen from Puns Upon a Time is super, super strong. Trying to set up a bush here. An aggressive rotation, trying to make something happen, trying to catch Puns upon a timeout. However, they're on the other side of the map. Now, if they go on the far backside, they might catch the back line. Nope, Sonya is there anchoring. Now there's blind. This is going to be really interesting. There's the ETC. He eats all of the damage. There's the light bomb on the backside, though. Crushing Jaws goes out, only catches one. Commandeer Odom is popped. ETC is very low. ETC goes down. Anduin goes down. Raynor goes down. Orphea goes down. VibeCheque does get a consolation kill on the Sonya, but Malthael now running for his life, and I think he will go down as well. And I think that very easily could be beginning of the end for VibeCheque, as Puns Upon a Time roared back. They have multiple mercenary waves and 4 team members. Now, all of the team of VibeCheque is up. They will be able to try to defend this 4v4, but the core is melting 66%, now down to 50%. Mosh Pit does catch only 1, but it is not going to matter. This core is going down so fast. Tychus falls. It's going to be close, ladies and gentlemen. Lulu putting her damage into it. There's the Phoenix. That'll probably do it. Game 2 going over to Puns Upon a Time, and they came absolutely roaring back. Frankly, that didn't even look like the same 2 teams that were playing. So game number 3 upcoming. VibeCheque did not go with their kind of death ball style. Puns Upon a Time with some targeted banning to help prevent that. And both teams looked completely different from they did in game 1. Puns Upon a Time controlled that game from the get-go, cover to cover. And they ended up securing the game to win without losing a fort, I'm pretty sure. So really well played by those guys to come back and force a game 3. Let's see, play the game from game number 2. Really interesting. There's the ETC. He eats all of the damage. There's the light bomb on the backside, though. Crushing Jaws goes out, only catches 1. Commandeer Odom is popped. ETC is very low. ETC goes down. Anduin goes down. Raynor goes down. Orphea goes down. VibeCheque does get a consolation kill on the Sonya, but Malthael now running for his life, and I think he will go down as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for game number 3. We're going to take a quick 2-minute breather, and we will be back for game number 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3. Going to be on Volskaya Foundry. And it is first pick over to VibeCheque. So both teams have actually prioritized first pick in their losses, wanting that extra control over the draft. So a crucial game number 3. Both teams will leave here today with at least 1 point in the standings. But we're going to find out who is coming home with 2. So those of you returning in, getting quite a show. Both teams flexing. Game 1 was all VibeCheque. Game 2 was all Puns Upon a Time. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, I think it was Arby's pointed out the gravity lapses from Wolverine were on point and absolutely true. That CC was enough to really make it difficult for ETC to control the front of that. Muradin had a lot more presence, I think, on the front line just because he was so much harder to kill for the side of Puns Upon a Time. Between Tychus eating tanks up and Kael'thas's stuns being so on point, it was very, very difficult for ETC to stay in the front. So Muradin was also generally more aggressive simply because he could really get in there and be disruptive, and he wasn't under a lot of kill pressure, frankly. So this time we're going to see the Hanzo ban. That's the respect ban from game number 1. I do think Hanzo a little bit better here. You know the teams are going to be fighting on the points, maybe a little easier to land the arrow. And VibeCheque refusing to let Wolverine play Chromie. It's probably a good call. And this time they're going to ban out Tychus as well. He absolutely shredded in the last game, so I really like that ban. And this time we're going to ban out Sonya. So Sonya has been very high priority this game. Banned game number 1, first pick game 2, banned game number 3. Both teams really putting a priority on that Chromie. And now we have first pick over to VibeCheque. Gonna be the Greymane for the first pick. I kind of want Puns to take a big burly tank. One of the tanks that Tychus normally eats for lunch, but since Tychus off the board, maybe make it so VibeCheque did you a favor. Although Cursed Bullet is now there for Greymane, so that does make that slightly less attractive. It's going to be Deckard and Cassia. Love the Cassia pick into Greymane. She still does a ton of damage. Her trait, of course, ignoring the auto attack damage, or minimizing it at least. So really nice pick for the Cassia. Also, that'll pair really well with either a Mei or a Johanna for the blinds, if that's a path that they choose to go down.
I'm here to help.
So back to the blow-up comp for VibeCheque. They are not messing around again. Anubarak, Jaina, Greymane, they want to pick somebody out, and they want to absolutely wreck them. Lulu will make that a bit harder with the Deckard. You have some counter CC. Stay a while and listen for a counter engage, but it's going to have to be quick on the trigger because VibeCheque showed in game 1 that they do not take very long to pick out a target and blow them up. Imperious, good ban there. Imperious was an integral part of what VibeCheque showed in game number 1 in that Death Ball comp that was so impressive. Worth noting, though, Kerrigan, which was also a big part of that, is still on the board. I believe that was played by Red-Faced Beast, but you can always swap there at the end. Flip side, Johanna being banned out, I assume just because she's can help mitigate the dive somewhat, but also because the blinds pair so well with the Cassia. Kalphas again. Now, Kalphas I think is going to have a harder time of it this game with the dive happy VibeCheque. They are going to pick Blaze. That will help with the bunker and some oil to make space denial a thing, make it harder to engage into Puns Upon a Time. So we're going to see a support here of some kind. It's going to be the Tyrande Lunafair blow up one more time. And is it going to be Kerrigan again? No, it is going to be Chen. It's not a hero we see too much of anymore, but Panda Pal's popped and getting onto the back line can really be disruptive. Last pick, going to be the tank. May perhaps, or maybe ETC if he moves sideways and backwards can be really disruptive and peel easily, but he is squishy. It is going to be the May. I like the May. Blinds pairing with a Cassia. She's so durable. So one of the adjustments we want to see from Puns, right, is we want to see them make it so they have to initiate onto that front line. And this is a very burly front line. VibeCheque won't have the arrow to tee off of last time, so similar style but different execution. Let's see how we go to game number 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 at what has been a really fun set. Puns Upon a Time, featuring Barber playing May, Pet Wolverine playing Kalphas, Muffin Man on Cassia, Lulu on Army Man, Decker Kane, Jugger Bob on Blaze.
5, 4,
VibeCheque will feature Blue Space Hat on Blue Space Anubarak, Jackstaman on Tyrande, Giggleshmack on Jaina, Redface Beast on Greymane, and Megan Milk playing Chen. So Chen is in the bottom lane, 5v4 currently in favor of Puns. The mid lane skirmish will start. Juggerbob is holding the bottom flank. There goes the Jaina Blizzard out onto the wave. Juggerbob in a flanking position. Blue Space Hat eating a fair amount of damage. Blaze already rotating bottom to square off against Chen. And now we have the 4-man rotation. Blue Space Hat trying to be disruptive here. There goes the Burrow Charge. Does not hit anybody. Exchange of pleasantries all around, but no real harm done. Chen doing a little bit of double soaking, actually, because here he is in the mid lane, while Blaze, whose wave clear is not particularly quick, still stuck in the bottom lane. I really want Puns to be careful for that reason. May needs to be the first one in the rotation. Wolverine actually ate a lot of damage there. You can't have the squishies leading the rotations with such an aggressive comp coming out from VibeCheque, because if you're a team like VibeCheque that has this blow-up comp and you're ahead in the waves, what do you want to do? You're going to set up in the bush and try to kill somebody. So both sides going over to their turrets. VibeCheque securing theirs first. And now invading. Jackstaman is in first, but now Chen is here, and Puns has to leave. Wolverine is in trouble. There's the Lunar Flare. Down goes Wolverine. Blaze does arrive a little late. Lulu running for her life. Down she goes as well. And this is something VibeCheque showed actually in Game 1. As soon as they had vision on where the other team was, they responded accordingly. And without Cassia and May, there was no shot of Puns Upon a Time being able to hold that turret. And that is an early 2-kill, 2-turret now advantage. Soon to be 3 advantage for VibeCheque. One of the issues I have with Volskaya, one of the reasons why it's not one of my favorite battlegrounds is it can be snowbally, and it can be snowbally for this reason. Whichever team is up can control the map and they can get more toys. And it's bad enough playing from behind in tier and level, but then if you're going to play from behind in tier and level and the other team has the turrets and the biotic, it makes it very difficult to play from behind on this map. And so early advantage with 2 turrets, a biotic, and a half-level lead is VibeCheque in a big way. VibeCheque will also step forward. They will absolutely free clear this Merc. Now Barber going in deep. They do go on to Greymane, who just dives right on top of Wolverine, showing no fear. The Deckard CC is out as well. Now that's something that VibeCheque is going to have to watch. If they do not get that kind of initial burst kill, the counter engage is going to favor Puns, right? They gotta get that first guy, the first target. That's what they want. So level 7 almost on board for VibeCheque. And there it is. So early talent tier advantage for another few seconds at least. Chen just kind of standing on the edge of the point. Not a lot Puns can do it unless they want to do about it, unless they really want to commit some heroes to that. I am missing a pick-off. I couldn't quite get there in time because I was drinking my water, but Blaze gets picked off in the bottom lane. Now 3 unanswered kills for VibeCheque, and that's actually how all 3 of these games has gone. One team just kind of teeing off in the beginning and riding that to victory. And VibeCheque, they're going to, if they go on their turret, they're going to have 3 turrets and a biotic and the first objective and 3 unanswered kills. I mean, they're going to have so many toys for this first objective. Puns Upon a Time, big time on the back foot.
Blue team has taken control of a protector.
You know, I know it's only 4 minutes into the game, but the item advantage is so noticeable right now. Like, I don't see any way that, barring a complete misplay by VibeCheque, I just don't see a way that Puns Upon a Time can win the objective with this with the item discrepancy. So I think if you're Puns and that discrepancy stays, you're basically hoping to get the other team to burn the items and then leave, right? Get them to drop all those turrets and then we'll bounce and try to play for the third one. But I mean, 3 turret and a biotic advantage is massive. And now it looks like they're going to catch Blaze again. He does jet propulsion, does press the armor. I assume the Lunar Flare is coming. Not here yet. There, it does miss, but Chen is there to body block. There is 1 stun from Anubarak. There is a second stun that actually misses and gets Deckard. And Juggerbob will get away with 20 some odd health. The second Anubarak stun missed, as did the Lunar Flare. That may have made the distance, but now turret number 4, Blaze, they know, cannot come in here, and then there's a triple stun by Blue Space Hat, forcing Puns Upon a Time back. They used 1 turret to gain 1 turret. I don't even think they really needed to do that, to be honest. But level 10s will be here shortly. That was kind of Juggerbob's great escape there. So it is going to be Panda Pals, Starfall, Cocoon, Water Elemental, and First Bullet. Worth noting, Greymane is feeling real good about himself, and he went Wizened Duelist, actually at 7. So worth keeping an eye on those stacks. If they stack kills like they did in Game 1, Greymane is going to be a monster in the late game here. I usually call them Gatorades, actually. The red Gatorade bottles. Barber a little far forward, does eat the Owl, does eat the Ice Lance from Jaina, but just kind of walks slowly the other direction. There goes the E from the Anub, doesn't hit anything. Cocoon onto Blaze, Cursed Bullet onto Wolverine, Ice Wall puts out Tyrande. Now Blaze is back. I think Puns could counter this. A big sleep, catches 3. Panda Pal's eating a lot of damage. So is Blue Space Hat. He thinks he might go down, so he actually uses the Biotic. And nobody goes down. But that's actually a big win for Puns Upon a Time because VibeCheque used a turret and the Biotic, and that's going to help negate the item advantage that VibeCheque had built up. Chen showing in the bottom lane. Puns Upon a Time knows they should be able to secure this uncontested, I would guess. And they do.
I'm getting another film already for you.
So Lulu gonna start the camp here for Puns Upon a Time. Despite the kills, only about a half level discrepancy. The camp and the bottom lane soak will help offset that. Owl does scout out the camp. And let's see what Puns is gonna do. This camp is up in 3 seconds. I love it. Grab the turret on your way up. So that's going to be 1 turret and 1 Biotic for Puns and 3 turrets for VibeCheque. So that's not nearly as bad as it was before. However, 13's very close for VibeCheque, and they're going to try to catch Juggerbob again. He does get stunned. He is under turrets. Cursed Bullet missed. That's Cursed Bullet and Welly out. That's big time if you're Puns Upon a Time. That's a lot of the tools for VibeCheque out for basically no value. They did very little damage to Blaze, and I want to see Puns get aggro like right now. VibeCheque though, not going to let it happen. They're going to go. They're going to get 13. Blaze is going to, and May are going to anchor this bottom lane, throwing some oil down, making it hard for VibeCheque to come through this choke point here. And Lulu has been staying very safe as she needs to. Stay way, way back for that big counter stay a while, right? They cannot let them get onto Lulu. That stay a while is so huge for what they do. Welly is back up at 7. There goes the E, doesn't hit anything. And May gets absolutely obliterated. Ice Wall does catch 3. And then there's the stay a while. There's the Blaze combustion. Cassia is in the backside this whole time in the cocoon, and they get the counter kill on Trana. Juggerbob on Blaze goes down. Lulu running for her life. Cassia and Deckard go down as well. 4 for 1 in favor of VibeCheque. Cassia being cocooned during the middle of all that was such a big deal. Puns actually did a nice job of trying to counter engage even though May was down, but without Cassia they just didn't have the damage output. So the cocoon target pretty spot on there, and that May went down fast, like really fast. Like didn't have time to press her shield fast. Tactical littering, that's good. So more buttons will be up for Puns. They do go onto the Blaze again. There's the stun, there's a second stun, there's another stun, and there's Greymane and Blaze is dead. May was cocooned out again. I love what Blue Space Hat is doing. He's basically picking out a target and just kind of cocooning whoever else is nearby. So it becomes a 5v3 very, very quickly. Wolverine is in trouble, a little too far out. Good peels by Barber, combined with the shield, keeps Wolverine alive. They're trying to get the counter kill onto Greymane. Oh, great play by Megan Milk to run away from Greymane with the ball lightning. And that probably saved his life. However, Puns Upon a Time is still here. They know Greymane is low, trying to catch somebody, anybody is Barber, but unable to do so. Stun will land on Nubrak as he runs to safely. Cassia getting very aggressive. And here we are again. Puns Upon a Time will not give up this point quietly. Stay a while is still up. There goes Panda Pals, and a freaking Blaze stunned all of the Panda Pals, but it doesn't matter. They just run at Kael'thas and absolutely explode him. Ice Wall catches 3. Megan Milk and Jackstaman saying, we do not care, we're going to run at you anyway. Bodies dropping all over the place. 3 from Puns Upon a Time are down. Make it 4. Yes, 4. And that will finally secure the Triglav for VibeCheque. They have a style, ladies and gentlemen, and they have shown to be very good at it.
Blue team has taken control of a protector. Red team has destroyed the fort.
Top fort for Puns is down. Mid fort will shortly follow.
Red team has destroyed the fort.
And now moving down to the bottom lane. Whoa. Jugger Bob out pretty far. He's trying to run to the conveyor belt to get away. He is shrunk. He pops his armor. Greymane, though, will not let him get away. Blaze goes down. And now the Triglav pushing into the bottom lane. May is all the way in top lane doing a little housekeeping. So this is going to be a third fort destroyed by VibeCheque.
Red team has destroyed the fort.
Pushing onto the bottom keep wall. That turret goes down. The Triglav expires. I don't want Puns to look for a counter engage here. They're down a man and a talent here, so that is definitely not a fight that they want. May sitting here. They figure they're going to come in on this turret, but they're not. Not with everyone up in the same talent here. Real good discipline by VibeCheque. They've been very selective on when they invade. And in all of these games, I think pretty much all of their invades have been successful because they've, done them where appropriate, as opposed to just kind of whenever. Speaking of invades, Mega Milk is shifting around looking for somebody. They're not able to get it. Instead, they're going to go start the Biotic. They now know that Puns is on the camp. Barber going in. Ice Wall catches only Jaina, but that might be enough. There's Barber getting away to safety. A huge stay a while, catches 3. The stun follow-up, and the red health bars are so low. Greymane down. A Nubarak down. Panda Pals used on the back, and they are all stunned by Blaze. May goes down, but I think Chen is going to follow as well. Best moment of the game for Puns Upon a Time. They pick up a 3-1 kill. Gonna get a little counter siege damage now. Camp is pushing up behind them. Figured they can take out this top fort and even out some of the Kata pressure. In the bottom lane, though, Jaina going way far forward. They see all the members there. Jaina's gonna go try to get some structure damage here with a wave and a blizzard and a Kata. Burn all our cooldowns and then run, Jaina.
Destroy the fort.
So nice job of Giggle Schmack on the Jaina. Just kind of put a little extra pressure on that turret. Show in the bottom lane and then run. That was a big moment for Puns Upon a Time, though. That's the first time they've won a team fight in this game, and they really needed it. Really set up by Barber with the Ice Wall, and I think that might be the difference. When VibeCheque is initiating onto Puns, they really don't seem to have an answer to that. But this time, Puns was the aggressor, and as the aggressor, they were able to make some things happen. And I will say throughout this game, despite how these team fights have been going...
Ready. Access its terminal when I bring it online.
Oh, just Jugger Rob. I keep saying Bob. I'm terrible. I can't read and I can't cast. Jugger Rob on Blaze has been money with the stuns, hitting multiple members every time he hits that E button. Unfortunately for Puns Upon a Time, they are going to be down the 20 tier here and really not able to do much without being at a disadvantage for a significant amount of time. And with 20 advantage, I would anticipate VibeCheque going straight on this camp, and that's what they're going to do. It's what I alluded to earlier. Their timing on invades is very good. No, nobody on the bottom point yet. They're looking for a fight-ish. Yep. Puns Upon a Time is running to safety, though. Good awareness by Puns. And this is a little bit of burn time, though, for VibeCheque. They're not getting a lot with this 20 advantage. They're not channeling the objective at all. In the meantime, Puns gets closer and closer to level 20 as well. I think probably 2 more waves, I would guess, will get level 20, and that should leave them enough time to contest this should they choose. So they will have top wave pushing out. They will have their 20s, and we will have the fight that could very well decide the game. May here, kind of far out. 20 is all around here for both sides. Ice Wall catches nobody. That's kind of a big deal, honestly. If I am Puns, I am backing up. I don't want to fight without Ice Wall, I don't think. It was very instrumental in their one team fight win. But they're hanging out. May showing in the top. Kind of staggered formation here by Puns. May is in the back. They're going to catch the squishy middle. Oh my god, Wolverine with the gravity lapse may have saved his team there. Because Megan Milk on Chen had a bloodlust and was looking for the squishy middle of Puns Upon a Time there. My apologies to Jugger Rob for calling your name entirely incorrectly this entire time because I can't read. Here we go. There's the Panda Pals. Wolverine does pop the shield and he dies anyway, though. Combustion, stay a while. Red health bars are low. Anubarak goes down, but as do Cassia and Deckard. And Greymane? No, that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And game number 3 very likely over to VibeCheque. Every fight this game, it was the team that was aggressive that won the team fight. Really, the shining moment for Puns was when they went as the initiator of the team fight. Every time they were initiated onto, it just it didn't go their way. And also, not having Ice Wall in that last fight was a really, really big deal. Game number 3. We'll go over to VibeCheque picking up the 2-1 victory. So we'll let everybody admire the stats for a moment, and then we'll show the talents. We'll show our play of the game, and then maybe we'll see if we can get somebody in for an interview. All right, here is the play of the game in game number 3. Here we go. There's the Panda Pals. Wolverine does pop the shield and he dies anyway, though. Combustion, stay a while. Red health bars are low. Anubarak goes down, but as do Cassia and Deckard. And Greymane? No, that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And game number 3 very likely over to VibeCheque. And joining us after what was a very fun set from the victorious VibeCheque is Megan Milk. What's going on?
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. So that was a pretty fun set. Game 1, you guys very dominant. Game 2, Puns was pretty dominant. Going into game 3, what kinds of things, like, what was the team chatter like after kind of 2 pretty one-sided games each way?
So to game 3 we knew we lost pretty bad on Braxis. I think Tychus made our tank very scared. So game 3, we decided to use a more dive comp and try to get onto their backline and kill it as quickly as possible. Also, the Blaze with the dive comp was our target as well because he couldn't really get out at all.
So you guys seem to really show off a style in game 1 and 3, kind of this pick out a target and explode somebody really fast. Is that how did that style develop within the team? Was it something that just came organically? Did you guys kind of target doing that, or is it just something that kind of happened?
I think it just kind of happened based on what our preferred characters are. Most of our guys like more bursty characters and characters that can react to those stun targets, and it kind of just happened where everyone thinks, "Hey, this is the right comp. Let's do that."
All right. Let's talk a little bit about VibeCheque. A new team name for me. I'm not sure if you guys are remnants of another team, so why don't you introduce your team to NGS? Who are you guys? Have you played together before? How'd you find your team? How'd the team come together? All that stuff.
It is a new NGS team. I've played NGS for 3 seasons, maybe 4. I played with Blue last season and the season before that, and he played with Jax in Heroes of the Dorm. So we all kind of met through there. Giggle and Red we took on, and we all clicked very quickly. So it kind of just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, you guys seem to have pretty good synergy. It was very impressive how quickly you guys eliminated some of those targets. There was one team fight where I think May she just exploded before she had a chance to really press any buttons. So, is there any matchup in particular you guys are looking forward to coming up, or are you kind of no one really on the radar, just kind of play them as they come?
I think it's more play 'em as they come. We're still new, so we're kind of trying to figure everything out. But we do have some people that are decent at scouting, so we have them for that.
All right, well, fair enough. Congrats on the 2-1 win. Any shout outs on your way out?
I shout out Giggle for playing Hanzo on VOE. He did insane with those arrows, allowing us to get those engages. He did really amazing.
Yeah, they were bananas. He got like 2, 3, 4 guys that seemed like I've actually never quite seen that in a game before, where like every arrow that he fired just connected. It was game of his life with those arrows, man.
He did great.
All right, well, congratulations. Tell Giggle I said hello, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good night.
Alrighty, you too. Bye.
So Megan Milk from Victoria's VibeCheque picking up the 2-1 victory. Let's see what other NGS matchups are going on right now. See where we can throw you fine folks to enjoy the rest of your NGS evening. Let's see here. We will throw you over to... I'm going to check this, see how this game's going. Or there's 2 we can throw you to, so we're going to figure out which one would be better. I think this one's about to end, so let's check the other one. Want to make sure we give you the best matchup we can. Oh, this one's over. Okay, well, unfortunately, no word really to send you guys this evening. Both of the other matchups that are still going are either over or just about to be. So, thanks for dropping by. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And hopefully catch you guys next week when I try to catch another game. Have a nice night.